News18 Network and Truecaller took the fight against harassment from the national capital to another Indian state with the recently held CallItOut Telangana Townhall. Key stakeholders like policy makers, law enforcers, social organizations and influential voices from diverse fields discussed ways to empower women in the digital age and deliberated upon the role of men as allies in curtailing harassment. The town hall opened with an insightful conversation between Kalvakuntla Kavitha, member of Legislative Council Nizamabad and leader Telangana Rashtra Samithi, and Maria Shakil, senior political editor, CNN News 18.
As a woman leader, what is the kind of gender bias that you have faced? And do you continue to face it?
Not really. I have been one of the privileged, lucky few people in this country, I believe, in politics or any field. We've seen there is a huge gender bias. I am one of the luckiest person who happened to be not directly facing the bias. But when I was in the parliament, we used to, like a forum of women member of parliaments used to repeatedly request our Lok Sabha speaker, Sumitra Mahajanji. We used to tell her, ma'am, please don't only give us opportunity on Women's Day, but give us opportunity throughout the year. So we did fight, we did get our voice heard, we made sure that all of us got opportunities to speak on various issues.
Kavitha ji, as someone, again, who understands issues, what role have you played in ensuring women feel safe in Telangana?
Well, we are lucky in Telangana. Our Honorable Chief Minister, whichever program he has taken, he has put women in the first place. It is not just about safety, but when it comes to financial empowerment, when it comes to issues of making sure women are safe and secure in their own homes, we put women in the front. For example, I'll start with a small one. If we have to give pension and we have to choose between a husband and a wife, Telangana government chooses the wife. If we are giving a double-bedroom house, if we have to choose husband and wife, Telangana government always puts the property on the wife's name. And if there are shepherd community women who want the government's incentives and programs that we do, we always choose the women first. So not just in terms of lip service, like saying ki humne mahilaon ka raksha kar liya, this, that. No, but we also believe in empowering women, and we've generated so many programs in terms of empowering them industries-wise. I believe we are one of the first state to have the Women Industrial Park exclusively for women. And it is done with the FICCI. So they have identified a lot of women. We gave them incentives. There's one other industrial park that has come up. So we believe in financial empowerment of women also. Safety, security has to go without saying. It should be like the air that we breathe. Women should not ask, ki, please hamara dekhbhal karo. We are the citizen of this country. We are half of this country. And we should be protected by our governments. It's our responsibility.
And Telangana is heading towards becoming the first state of India to have its own legislation on cybercrime. How did you go through the entire process? What is the need for a legislation of this nature? And how significant milestone do you see it will be when it finally comes into force?
Currently, Telangana government is working with Nalsar University to come up with a law which addresses particularly about the cyber harassment issues that the women face. Not only just the cyber harassment, it also takes care of other things like cyber crimes, frauds, etc. also. But harassment is a major, major issue in that. Well, with the changing times, changing technology, as a government which is progressive and very, very aggressively pursuing IT and IT-related industries, there are a lot of opportunities for Telangana, but also there are equally challenges. So one of the challenges is the cyber harassment and cyber security issues that we face. So there are laws, IPC can address it, the IT policy 2000 can address it. But then if there are specific legislations with defined terms, then it becomes easy to train our policemen. It becomes easy to train our citizens. It becomes easy to train our companies. Because across the globe, wherever you see, there are legislations, but the problem is there is not enough training given to the police force. But we've already done that even without a legislation. We have put together something called as the SHE teams. Yes. So if any woman has any issue, it could be cyberbullying or otherwise, they can just go there. So a woman knows in Telangana where to go if she has an issue. Telangana government had put together a task force on the ground. There is a special IT cybercrime cell which is put in place. An ACP is in charge of it, and there are 4 officers allocated to it. So there is an infrastructure set up in place. So women of Telangana, if they face any harassment, they know where to go. Either they can go to a SHE team or they can go to a cyber security. But when you bring in an additional legislation, it just gives more comfort for the police also to book a crime under certain section, and then the punishments also will be much more swifter. So that is the basic idea of getting a law specifically for cyber harassment issues.
While we understand that perhaps women in a city such as Hyderabad may be more aware of what is happening, what about B towns of Telangana, smaller areas, villages? What is the kind of response that you're getting? Are they still reaching out and securing their spaces, or is there a great degree of stigma that is attached to bullying?
No, absolutely. SHE teams today has become a household name. In every movie also, if somebody is bullying, they say in a Telugu movie that SHE teams wale aayenge, pakad ke le jayenge. So it has become a household name. Every district of Telangana has a separate SHE team set up. So many women know this, and not only just the SHE teams, we have set up a one-stop crime centers also, crime shelters also. If there is crime against women in the districts, it is set up directly in the government hospital. So they can go there, a lawyer will come there, SI will come there, her treatment will be done, and then she can securely stay there as well. So not only Hyderabad, we believe in addressing every nook and corner of Telangana, and we are empowering women across the state.
One statistic which was very, very disturbing and worrying is, Kavitha ji, that Telangana witnessed a surge in cases of phone harassment in 2020. What more can be done to help women?
Primarily, Maria ji, not only Hyderabad, this has been the case across the globe. Post-pandemic, big deal of harassment has started happening over the phones. And also, you should understand, I would like to share one number with you. The percentage of women who use phones in rural areas of India and in Telangana is very less compared to men. And even if they use phone, there is no access to internet. So now, post-pandemic, that has changed. So when the technology comes in, harassment also comes in along with it. Till date, only about, say, 35% of women have access to internet in rural India today. But then even those 35% get the harassment calls along with the internet. So now the real challenge with our government is how to face that as one, but yet how do we make sure that internet penetrates into rural India, rural Telangana? Because when internet can be a great enabler, and there are many, many studies which talk about if you can just bring around 600 million more women onto internet, how can the world GDP grow by 18 billion? And I believe very strongly as a woman, we have a very weird working curve. By the time we get married, have children, we would be peaking in career, and once you have child, your career also goes down with that. But then technology, if we can educate our women in technology, they can work from home. So we really need to make sure that internet goes into the villages. Telangana government is working towards it. I mean, my dream personally is like today, a woman sitting in a village house rolling beedies, tomorrow I want her to be working on a laptop. That is the kind of vision we have for Telangana. So we are working towards it. Digitally empowering the women and citizens of Telangana is our goal. And that is why we newly launched the ICT policy 2021-2026 for the next 5 years. It's a brilliant policy with a lot of impetus on making sure we digitally empower our citizens with a lot of security details in place.
And this Truecaller News18 Network campaign, it's not okay. We are emphasizing on call it out.
Right.
Because it's not okay to just block, but to call it out. The collective responsibility, that sense that we should have, where the policymakers, along with the society, becomes responsible. What do you think should be done at various stages?
Well, this is where I believe more education for women is required, because if somebody starts calling you, start sending you texts that you don't want and unnecessarily harassing you, then as you rightly said, we cringe and then we immediately delete or block that post. But then that won't help a police officer to help us. That won't help a government or an NGO to help you. So it will be uncomfortable, but then I request all my sisters, if you get a message, if you get a call which you are not interested in, you save it. take a screenshot, save the time, save the real-time links, make sure that you can present it to the authorities one day when you want to report. Unless and until you want to report, nobody else can help you. But don't lose hope. Today in Telangana, if you report, you'll get the result very quickly. We have proven it in many, many cases where we have picked up boys who were eve-teasing the girls, counseled them, put some of them in the jails if required, left some of them with counseling. But there is a logical end to this issue. We can take it to the end. Our government can take it to the end. So if you get a message that you're not interested in, don't block it, don't delete it, save it, be smart, use the technology to save yourselves also. So please be educated, and I'm thankful to Network 18 for bringing this education to girls and women. I think more of this education has to go in as to how a process can be taken up so these perpetrators can be punished one day. You know, many women journalists are harassed all the time. And how do you report it? What do you do? It's an ordeal. It's a big, huge process. And I don't want to look weak, but then I would like to need an option by all these tech giants to be given to women so that we can exercise it easily. And you were showing me the Truecaller app, which said, you know, just with one click, I can say this can be done. I would like to have that on WhatsApp, Twitter, Facebook, everywhere I want to go, because I want my cyberspace to be more free, and I want to feel safe there. So I think tech giants also should start thinking about women and how they're harassed and how it can be countered. I can give you the confidence, Telangana government is there, She Teams is there, our brilliant police department is there. So please, please, please speak out.
Your final thoughts?
Final thoughts, brilliant, brilliant program. And if this is a countrywide program, I think it'll be amazing. And please focus more on rural areas. I believe more and more education is required there also, because bullying won't stop just in metros. It will go into the rural areas as well. As the phones grow, as the internet grows, it will also happen. So let us educate our women from now on, and please involve everybody. This is not a political issue. This is a societal issue. So each one of us need to speak out, and I'm happy you're taking this up.
Call It Out Telangana Town Hall, hosted by News18 Network and Truecaller, highlighted the need for men to join the fight against harassment that women face in all forms of communication. That was the topic of the first panel discussion, expanding boundaries of communication. Let's discuss the role of men as allies. Moderated by senior journalist Swapna, the discussion witnessed the participation of key stakeholders, including CV Anand, Commissioner of Police Hyderabad, Parupalli Kashyap, Badminton Player and Arjuna Awardee, J. Srinivasa Rao, Chairman Telangana State Commission for the Protection of Child Rights, and Y. Arun Daniel Kumar, Founder and Director, Youngistaan Foundation.
Sir, if and when a woman faces harassment, now this is a very big question, on the phone, online, offline, what are the immediate steps she can take to report it?
Fortunately, the number of avenues to complain have been expanded by the police, and especially in Telangana, we have given a lot of options. The dial 100 is the first option. We have really increased its scope, its the variety, and the response time. Right. There's a special app called the Hawkeye. Right. It has special features, are very easy to access and very easy to complain. It goes right into the control center, command center, and from there the response and the evidence-based policing. So there are several options, and one just needs to recognize and use it whenever the situation arises.
Sir, before I move to the other panelists, I have one very pertinent question. Despite all these methods to escalate such issues, it is a fact that harassment still goes on. So would you say that people are not yet tuned into how to use and access help? Or would you say that the end result of such complaints is perhaps not being made known enough to the people?
It is, I think, double-edged. First of all, our society is such that women are brought up in a manner where they're not supposed to complain. You know, it just only of late it has been changing. In fact, there's a recent case, very disturbing, where the father was the perpetrator. and the girl was pregnant, and she was not able to complain to anyone because the mother was not allowing her to. I would also admit that the awareness about how to go about it, the general fear of that police may not respond, they may ask embarrassing questions,
Right.
and say a few things which are uncomfortable, and that's so a lot of training has been done with the policemen and police officers to sensitize them to this issue. The SHE teams are one such way where they really have the awareness sessions which have gone on. There a lot of effort has been put in the last 6-7 years, and it has really helped.
Well, sir, we've set a stage now. So, Parupalli Kashyap, I want to ask you a direct question here. How often do men come and stand up for women in the field of sports? I mean, you yourself have, in your wife's case, but in most cases, do you have the support of, do women have the support of men?
I can speak for my cause. It's great that sir has spoken, and the way you have organized, the way they have organized this discussion is brilliant. I think they have to stand up more. I have not seen like so many examples of it, but it is getting better, I would say. Women are speaking for themselves still now. I mean, I don't see so many men standing up for them. But I think it will become a trend from now on, and I hope more and more men speak out.
Absolutely. I mean, so I'll now move on to Mr. J. Srinivasa Rao. In a lot of sections of the society, this is a topic that is not discussed too often. But more and more access to digital India is also making the children more vulnerable to such incidents. So are you doing something directly to impact their level of education as to how to deal with such incidents?
As a commission, what we are trying to do, predominantly there are three broader perspectives. One is, how do we first prevent? Prevention becomes critical. First of all, why that issue should happen? So how do we build in that perspective to our young generation, whether in an urban school or a rural school or a school in a town, towards which we are trying to come up with a very important program called volunteerism. Volunteerism wherein the whole mechanism of using the best of the technology, we want to create a situation where anybody can connect to that kind of an app. They should be able to speak up.
And as aptly, you said really aptly that it's part of responsibility of men. But sadly, I'm sure, Arun Daniel Kumar, you've dealt with a lot of young India. So do you, as part of the work that you do, actively engage students and youngsters in developing this kind of a mindset?
Absolutely. In fact, we are doing a small project with the Women's Safety Wing called the Cyber Congress, where we are enabling close to 1650 school children and encouraging these children to become cyber ambassadors. So these children are trained to tackle any kind of harassment or online fraud or any sort of issues that people are facing. So these children become the on-ground warriors and ambassadors, let it be in communities, in schools, where they pitch in that gap to solve the issues right there and there.
I'll move to you, Parupalli Kashyap. So how can we create a safer environment for our girls, especially in the field of sports?
The academy I was training in since 2005, this topic is not even being spoken of. I think academies, especially ours, there should be awareness. The coaches, the players, they have to speak to all the kids coming in that any issue, anything you feel, you'll have to come and discuss and open up and talk about it. Because it's very tough in an academy with 200 kids, 300 kids to realize what is happening with each kid. And especially kids growing up, you don't know who's going to take a particular comment or a particular behavior from your colleague or your coach or some of the junior coaches who are not educated in this field. How are they taking it? You don't know. So a counseling session is clearly a necessity. So general awareness session should happen. And I think, I'll surely sit with Gopi sir and, discuss this topic. It's very important. It's extremely important. Yeah.
And CV Anand sir, when we escalate a complaint that somebody is harassing us, what happens exactly back end? Can you let our people know, because it will give them a lot of assurance that something is happening.
Yeah, actually, if someone comes to a law and order police station, the person will not be the only complainant. There will be several other petitioners and all standing there. So what has been done to overcome this is, we have got, in every police station, we've got counseling rooms. If any such thing is there, the reception constable or the officer sitting there has to take them to the counseling room and speak to them in private, what exactly has happened. Because these are things which they cannot open up with. That is the first thing to be understood. These are the changes we are trying to make in the last 3-4 years, and a lot of progress has been made. So after that, if the complainant is, it is reduced to writing, then the she teams, if they are available on call and they are informed, we identify the hotspot areas. It's all done very secretly, unmarked vehicles and in total civil dresses and with secret cameras. One very big thing which has happened in Hyderabad city and greater Hyderabad and many parts of Telangana is this eve teasing has gone down because of this. I assure the women folk and the girls that justice will be done. In fact, I would like to mention one initiative of Telangana government which is called the Bharosa. Right. The Bharosa Center, if you go and see in the main center in Hyderabad city, it is something which for 30 years of service I also had been looking for. We have seen women come to police stations and stop coming to police stations also because of the experience they have to go through. Anyone they wanted to complain to would ask them questions. They had to make the complaint in presence of others. And once they complain, they don't know what happens after that. Then if there's a medical issue, the treatment, taking them to a hospital in front of others, being treated. All these issues we're seeing, and we never understood how it would be solved. But with Bharosa, it is all under one roof. Right. The complainant comes, it is heard, and then the entire investigation is started. The medical treatment is done there. The prosecution is done there. All the case diaries are written. Even the court is adjacent. Child-friendly courts, POXO Act cases. We have got so many convictions in the last 5 years of 6 years of its existence. There are almost 28 life convictions. So I think we'll have better days.
Yes, sir, that's giving us a lot of hope. So Arun, before we conclude this session, we are urging people to call out harassment and escalate the matter, not just to save yourself, but also to bring about a certain sense of discipline in the society as well, because it's a part of our responsibility. What would you say, does Youngistaan Foundation actively counsel, coach parents and youngsters as to how to draw your boundaries and how to call out when something is not right?
I think it's very important that we need to start calling out harassment. If you do not do that, you are actually letting the person who is harassing, giving another opportunity for that person to harass somebody else. We have to cut the fault right there and there, and we've been working very hard to work. We've been working with police, we've been working with quite a lot of cyber experts, we've been working with different agencies to see how we can eradicate that and work towards that. And also we've been working a lot with young men. We want to work, in fact, we have a fellowship program called under our gender program, where we are training young boys to be allies so that these people go back on ground and work with community schools and fight harassment and also enable the community on safety. So it's very important, please do call out harassment, because that is the only way where you're going to save the lives of others in future.
With the Call It Out Because It's Not Okay campaign, News 18 Network and Truecaller are on a mission to encourage, empower and educate everyone to fight harassment and build safer spaces for women in the virtual and real world.